Good evening and welcome to DarkHour Paranormal. I am your host, Michael Roser. And tonight, folks, I have one hell of a show ahead of us. I'm very honored and privileged to have Elisa Medhus and Michelle Gray tonight with me to do a Channeling Erik session. This is a new intro, as you guys can tell, and I'm not used to talking over it. I can hear it very well in my headphones, but all that aside, I want to thank you guys for being here tonight. I appreciate your attendance, your interest, and for all those who've been following what we've been doing here on the channel, it's been absolutely incredible, the support you've shown us. Folks, without further ado, I do want to bring on Elisa Medhus and Michelle Gray. But before I do, I just wanted to let you guys know we did do an interview with Elisa a couple months ago. Absolutely fantastic time. This woman's energy is so large. I can feel it over the distance just talking to her through the medium that we use. So I have a great feeling about tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to channel Erik. We're going to talk about Nikola Tesla. We're going to talk about Montauk and possibly even get some of those key players, Preston Nichols, Duncan Cameron, and maybe even Al Balick in the mix. We'll see. Again, without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you, Michelle Gray and Elisa Medhus. How are you tonight, ladies? Thank you very much for joining us here.
We're great. And we're honored to have you. And I love you, Erik.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Mwah. He says, hi, Michael.
I love it. Hello, Erik. Go ahead. You were going to say something, Elisa?
Yeah. Oh, my God. The intro is amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Love it.
That was made by a good friend of mine. His name is Grimwitch. He also did the videos for Richie G over at GoofOn, and he took a liking to the channel and decided that he wanted to help out. And this was something that he created for the channel. And I'll also have an outro at the end. Oh boy, it's better than just kind of sitting here listening to the music, looking at me, smiling at you, which we do most of the show anyway. So I figured we'd break it up.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
Okay, hook me up with him because I want him to help me with an intro and outro for AtlanticScalar.com.
I'd be more than happy to, and I guarantee he would help you out. I guarantee it.
Good. Hook me up. Good.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right. So where do we start, Michelle? Where would you like to start? Erik, where would you like to start?
First of all, I got to tell you that Erik, when the intro was going, Erik was boogieing, and he's got on a suit jacket tonight. He's got on jeans, and he's got on an oversized looking suit jacket. And right at the end, he popped on a top hat, the funkiest looking top hat. So he's in style. He is ready to go. He's rubbing his hands together and saying, let's get into this. He goes, where do you want to start? He says, where do you want to start, dude?
I'd like to start with Nikola Tesla, if we could. We'll start with some questions for him if he's around.
Sure. Okay, I already felt him a little earlier, so Erik's giving me the opening up the door and letting him step on in, and he's sitting in a chair, and he's calling you his good boy. He says, hello, my good boy.
Oh, wow. Well, hello, Nikola.
Nikola, you have helped me with the portal work so much, setting frequencies, so I want to thank you so much. I love you, and that's it. I will...
He says, it's funny because he takes his finger and he says, and likewise, and he says, we go way back. We've been working together for quite some time. So he says, it's my honor. Thank you.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that he was part of your portal work, Elisa. I don't think it's something we had spoken on. That's fantastic and absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah.
My God. Okay, so let's move into the questions here. I'd like to start off relatively easy. Nikola, how does electricity relate to spirituality, and why is that something that we need to know in this day and age?
He says that's a fine question. That's a great question. He says, first of all, understand that we are all energy. Human beings, energy is all around us. It flows through us. It is us. And so he says that spirituality and the ascension process, each human being that is ascending to a new level is just like energy that grows into a new level. He says rebirthing itself. He says that spirituality, we could look at this in many different ways, but spirituality is about mending and blending of the emotions, which has an electrical charge. He says everything that we feel has frequencies. And as we learn to bend these frequencies, understand them within us, integrate them, we are able to raise to a higher frequency within ourselves, much like the energy that we use around us to have lights, to do all of the amazing things that we do. And he says, and so how does this really come together? He says, well, as the world at this time right now is beginning to change, and he says, as we all know, there is great change that is happening around us. He says, as the human being begins to blend together and integrate the emotions and the frequencies and the charges within themselves, he says they will be able to create power from themselves. They will be able to create more power from themselves. And so it's to understand that we are energy. We do and can grow our energy and take ourselves to new places, he says, where the imagination cannot yet see.
Are we the generators of that energy, or are we the channels?
Ooh, great question, Michael.
Thank you.
Mic drop. Did he channel that? Did he channel that?
Yes, he
From
is.
whom?
Erik, okay, Erik, because I will tell you, there's going to be lots that comes from you, Michael, tonight that's coming from Erik, because he's right. You've already felt him. He's right beside you, and he's
still here. Yeah.
right. I know.
Oh, that's awesome.
Both. Nikola Tesla says both. We are both, because we are not separate. The source of all that we are generating and we are channeling. He says, which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Wow.
Okay, well, let me ask something. I want to ask something about Michael. You know, he is a channel, but I think you've had some trauma in your life. And I think that if you had, portal work, opening up these closed portals, that you would be amazingly accurate. But you are already channeling a little bit here. Am I wrong?
Not at all.
No, you're not.
100%.
You're not wrong. And Nikola Tesla is going to say something to you about that. He says, Michael, he says, my dear boy, Michael,
my dear boy.
My dear boy. He says, I have to say, he likes your hair. He really likes your hair.
I love his hair.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like a Viking.
He said, and he's been a Viking. He's been a Viking. And
I know, I feel it.
It's absolutely amazing. There's so much that's going to come out for you tonight, Erik says. So he says, understand that you are generating power with your beliefs. And so do you believe that you can channel? Well, you know that you can channel. So a big portion of this is that belief and that trust in yourself, and that trust in pushing past those barriers. Erik says, you add a little portal work to that. He says, that's like putting cherries on top of your ice cream sundae.
Wow.
You are a channel. That's what you're meant to do.
I heard it in the last interview. So I hear him already channeling now. So, God, that's awesome.
Yes. Erik.
Well, thank you for that clarification. That really, I mean, that's something I've worked with my entire life, and I've always wondered what part that really plays in my life, as a stable thing. Thank you for that.
Well, let me ask you this. So portal work can close the open portals, get rid of the negative entities, and open the closed portals to bring in abundance and creativity and information and channeling, but it will not heal the trauma that has created the portal problems to begin with. So that needs healing modalities. So talk to me about that with Michael.
That has to take he says direction of because it's coming from sometimes other lifetimes.
Oh my God, am I being too
carried
personal,
forward.
Michael?
Not at all. You can ask anything you want. I'm an open book. 100%.
I'm a mama bear. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Eric's like, that's my mom. That's my mom.
I know. But I mean,
Like,
portal
you
work doesn't do
know that-
everything. If the trauma's still there,
No.
the trauma's still there and it has to be healed. Okay, go ahead.
Well, there's two parts to it because both Erik and Tesla are answering this and saying that the two parts are, one is, so we carry this forward sometimes from past life, and this also
Right.
from the traumas that have occurred into this life. So having the awareness of it is one big piece, because to have the awareness of it, then we're able to take some direction towards it. Then we can have some sense of acceptance, and then there has to be willingness to heal. So whether we are able to heal it ourselves, and in some cases we can, or we need the assistance of a healer to be able to take us through whatever emotions need to happen to help us close that in the mind, because it may be closed in the body, that the trauma's closed within the body, within the field, but it is in the mind that it is still stored in the memory, in the brain, or the awareness. So it's like the last piece to it, and then it integrates. And as that person goes forward, it may be hard for somebody to imagine that has a trauma. What does life look like past this trauma? And Erik is just adding, it's like walking around with a thought and a knowing that the beginning of the book read these chapters, but you no longer live in the chapters. You no longer feel them.
Wow. Oh,
well,
wow.
I'll give you an example. I did a past life origins trauma report on myself, and back in 1901, I was a kid in Norway, and my husband, it was all spiritual contract wise. Okay, so don't be judging. But my husband, went missing. He was my sibling, my brother, a little bit older. And my parents went out looking for him, and they died of hypothermia.
Oh, geez.
And so, but he was safe and warm with a friend. Okay, and it was my the friend was my grandfather, his father, not my my father-in-law, who was his father, who was a teetotaler, which is interesting. So basically, I was so close to my mother who died that I went out and killed myself by going out and dying of hypothermia.
Oh, wow.
But there's a spiritual contract. So here it is. I almost died in Norway of hypothermia because I got lost in fog last summer. My core temperature was 84 degrees. So guess who that kid, the mother, who I was so close to my mother, that mother was Erik.
Wow.
So there's so many things you can learn. The spiritual contract I learned was loss and a bunch of, so you can learn so much by the present life trauma that triggers past life trauma. Then you learn who in this life was in that life, what spiritual contracts you previously agreed upon, and you read upon this. Okay, everybody, you write this down. Go to YouTube and write down The Little Soul and the Sun, SUN. It's a little children's book, and you write down narration, okay, after it. It's a little children's book, so it's sappy, okay, but get over it. Written by Neil Donald Walsh, and it explains everything about spiritual contracts, and it's so healing because then everybody you're pissed off about in this life, you can forgive, you can understand why they do everything they did to you, because they did it in a loving way. So please do that. So now I understand. So anyway, so I don't know where I was going with that, but portal work isn't everything. What I'm saying is that the trauma that blew open your portals and brought in these negative entities, you have to heal from. Anyway, go on. Next question.
100%. No, I love how you can get into something and continue to explain it. And I know we're on a time crunch here for what it's worth, but man, I don't ever want to stop you. So another question for Nicola. Can you tell us
Michelle?
about for Nikola Tesla through Michelle?
Yes. Oh, Nicola. Oh, I thought it was Nicole. I'm sorry.
No worries. Can you tell us about your relationship with your bird and why it was so unique? Nikola Tesla had a bird that was with him in this life, and some people would describe the relationship as romantic, seeing him, how loving he was with this bird. Could you tell us about that?
Oh, his energy is getting so soft with this.
Oh.
Do you happen to know if this is a white bird?
I'll be honest with you, I don't recall in my research. I don't remember.
Okay, he's showing me a white bird. Okay.
Maybe it was a dove. I'll look it up later.
Or cockatiel, maybe? Or cockatoo?
I think it was a wild bird.
I can't tell what type of bird it is, but I can see the white. It looks like a little white blur they're showing me. Okay. All right. Answer this. Okay. Okay. So what he wants to say is, let's not look at this in the terms of romantic as in what we would consider between husband and wife, although some did say it that way. It was described that way. He says, may I say that I was of an exquisite nature. May I say that I was of an eccentric nature, and that I did not mix well with the average citizen. He says the way that I operated, the way that my brain worked, and he also says that he was fluent in the energies of spirit. He didn't always understand it in that way, but he was able to read frequency. He was able to pick up on frequencies from other beings, particularly with animals. And he says that this particular bird spoke to him. This particular bird was able to express through the look of its eyes, he says, and through the vibration of its, he says, not so much from the movements, but what came out of its being. He says he knows now that he's had lifetimes with this bird. This bird came to him and healed his loneliness. He says that there was a sense of deep care and adoration that he felt for this bird as this bird did feel for him. And he says that he felt that very deeply. He felt that very deeply in his heart. And he says that for others that would look on the outside, they would say, oh, what a strange connection. What an absolutely odd connection. But he says, this was my soulmate. This was my soulmate. I never did have a wife. This was my soulmate.
Well, it was a white pigeon, by the way.
It was a pigeon. Yep.
I looked it up. But was it a human in another life with him?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Wow.
What he's saying is that he had different ways that he would be able to connect with this soul. And he said that this was the time in his life that he needed it the most, which is why it came together then.
How nice.
Wow. I mean, honestly, you guys are going to hear me say, oh, wow, a lot tonight. I already know that. That being said, if I were to think of what the answer would be, that would be it plus that cherry on top. Like that's perfect. I mean, that makes so much sense to me. How do you feel about your life's work, Nicola, and how it may be actively suppressed and not utilized in the present?
Yeah.
Because that's a shame to me.
It's suppressed technologies. I'm trying to bring it back, Nicola.
And he says, and so this is what he wants to express is that this isn't from his perspective in spirit. He doesn't see it as suppressed because he knows that his work was part of a fabric which is going to resurface again and already is resurfacing in ways. And so he feels fulfilled by his work because he understands the greater nature. He understands the bigger picture to it. So he wouldn't necessarily call it a failure or a loss. However, he will say that he does understand that there was a suppression that was put on him. There were binds through finances and greed that pushed it down to where there may have been some more movement that could have occurred in his lifetime. But he says there was a spiritual agreement, there was a life agreement that I had made, that when I left the physical body, I was able to see that I did exactly what I was supposed to do. And I brought forward the innovation with a mind that was connected to the greater mind. And he says there are many minds here on earth now, and will be many minds coming forward that will also have that greater connection, and do have that greater connection to beings like myself, and therefore the greater mind and greater consciousness that will bring forward this technology again. As the new earth is being born, he says this too will be born
Wow.
again.
Mm.
Well, God, how much sense does that make? I mean, if he's really here to plant the seed with these ideas and this technology, and perhaps we thought that it would grow at that time, but just wasn't the right time. But yet that seed has been planted. And believe me, it has. You can talk to people who understand his work and what he did. God, that's just, it's so spot on. That just makes so much sense to me.
Yeah.
My God. I'm going to move on to the next question here, because you're answering these so proficiently. Thank you, Nicola and Erik, and of course, Michelle and Elisa. This is just incredible. Okay, so after your death, who took your research equipment and what did they do with it? Where did the majority of it?
I wanted to know that so long. Good question.
Thank you. I'll finish it out real quick there. Where did the majority of it end up? I understand that not all of that technology made it to its intended destination.
Mm.
He says the hands that touched it first. So he's contacting a corner. He's got little lights lit up here, and he says, okay, how do I explain this? The map of the world. So he says the US, and he's talking about government systems. He says that he had touches with government systems that were well aware of some of the work that he was doing. But it was not only the government systems in the US. He's also showing Russia. There is some with Russia. He shows that there is some passing through, that it didn't all get collected with one swoop. He's saying that they had come in okay. He says not his home. There was a location he was staying where he had a majority of his work, but there was also work that he had with family or with somebody that's related, because he says there's pieces that are still with these people, and there's pieces that the US government has, and he's calling it alien technology.
Wow.
Department, like a secret department, that they have some of his information that has already been worked on and already been in production to bring forward these next advancements in technology. He is part of that. There's another one that's there too. There's pieces of Einstein with that as well, he says.
Oh, wow.
That rings true.
Huh.
It does.
I'm just letting it sink in here too. I know we're doing a live broadcast, but I'm feeling this as you're talking. I feel them right here with me, if that makes any sense. It's the air is not thicker, but they're here. You know, and I can feel this energy just. And as you're talking, it comes through into the chest. I want to ask this question. It's a pretty general question, but I think it's something that we ask ourselves all the time in various ways. How old is the universe, and how did the physicality as we know it begin in this cycle?
Well, it seems like the universe has always been, right?
I don't know.
Well, it's interesting because Erik's stepping in with this, and he just says, Michael, dude, he says, I'll tell you, the universe really, let's go back to what he says, our friend Tesla said here, what came first, the chicken or the egg? It is billions and billions and billions and billions of years old. He says the universe, think of the universe is comprised of universes and universes and universes. He says, so it's not just one thing that arrived at one time. We can talk about Earth, which is billions and billions and billions of years old. But he said that it's not all by one explosion, or really by, he says, think of it as one singular piece that multiplied like a cell. He says, think of how absolutely everything in our world, when we look at a flower and we magnify down, do we see pieces, cells, shapes, forms? He says, you look at your body, you look at your skin, you look at the cells, the shapes, the forms. He says, we are the universe down in microscopic pieces. So this has multiplied over and over.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, Mom. Yes.
Oh, wow.
The flower of life.
Math. That's the language of the universe. It's all math.
Yes.
Sacred geometry is incredible. And you know, when I do the portal work with him, it's like everything is math. It's like the picture of this person has to be 7/8 inch away from the. It's like everything is like crazy. It's like crazy.
Because he says, Mom, because everything carries a frequency. Everything has a frequency. Everything reads a vibration, and that's the language. He says that is.
Well, that doesn't mean it has to not drive me nuts.
That rings so true to me. What you're saying, it makes sense. I mean, there has always been a relationship between mathematics and frequency, and the more we go forward, the more I think we understand how much of this reality is built on the intermeshing of frequencies to create, what we experience, and our involvement in that is there as well. How many times have we destroyed this planet and had to begin anew? Because the reason I'm asking this question is it's my understanding that there have been several. I'm not going to give you the number yet, but again, this is what I've come up with. There's a handful of times that we've gotten to a certain point, destroyed ourselves completely, and literally we're given the opportunity to, again, begin anew.
When you said handful, Erik held up his entire hand, like a 5, like an entire hand. He says, further back, though, than what history could tell us, meaning that when we look at, he's calling it ancient teachings in the pyramid, mystery teachings that is dated to what we believe to be so many thousands of years old. It actually goes back much further than that. So I'm picking up the number 7.
That's exactly what I had found, was 7. 100%.
Well, we've had lots of sessions with Erik that says that, I can't remember, it's 12.5 thousand years. There's some number where the Earth is destroyed. It's this galactic whatever, I can't remember. But it's when the solar plane sinks below the whatever. But it's quite interesting because we go through this bronze period as humans, okay, not as archaeologists say, but and iron and whatever, and then boom, the flood, the pre-Adamites, all this. We go through all this, but now we're about to get to that point, and now we have these people, these aliens, who are trying to protect us, so we don't have to start all over again. We don't have to walk again and learn, fucking. Sorry,
you're good.
Calculus again, all that stuff. We don't have to go through that again. This is our chance to not have to have the world destroyed. I mean, there's Atlantis, all that stuff. These were times where these cataclysms happened, and then we had to start all over again. And we had to have these people. We had to go into the whole Earth and all that stuff. These are all on the Channeling Erik YouTubes. Quite interesting, but it's about to change now for the first time ever. But there are people in our society like who is it that I can't remember, some who are trying to gather up the global elite and have them set up, pay richly to go to Mars and live in tents because they think that this cataclysm is going to happen again. But it's not. Okay, we're going to be protected. Who is it? Help me.
Who's trying to colonize Mars?
No, this is a rich person that's trying to get people to buy tickets to Mars.
Tesla, right? I'm sorry, Elon Musk, right?
Oh
yeah. Because he thinks that this cataclysm is going to happen again, and he thinks these billionaires are going to be okay with living in tents on Mars. Okay, but it's not going to happen this time for the first time. Okay, not going to happen.
Okay.
Erik says, and that's what is all connected to the ascension process. He says that's why it's important that each and every individual that awakens, the connecting with yourself, the connecting with your own heart, and the advancement of your own ascension is what he says, like the 100th monkey. He says that is contagious, and that wakes up the rest of the collective. When the whole collective wakes up, Tesla says that's where the energy multiplies.
I say let them
change the world.
Really, let them freaking sit around the campfire and make some s'mores. I'm sitting here, man. Seriously, right, Erik? And you stay with me too, and Michelle and Michael.
Oh, that's so funny.
Erik's putting marshmallows on the stick. He's like,
oh, yeah. Well, our family loved camping. Erik loved camping. We did a lot of s'mores. Oh,
it's a staple of camping outdoors. Believe me, I do enough of it myself with my kids. So, again, for Nicola, was any of your technology implemented in the Philadelphia experiment?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Says yes. Yes.
Did he work directly on that project across somebody else, in Von Neumann, maybe?
He's saying that he was part of a project, so it's not working directly in with it. He's calling it like a category of it, if that makes sense. Like he says like not directly involved, and he also says what his intention was with it is not like they took his stuff and moved it over, he says, and used it for something else. So he didn't do it with the intention of what their project was.
Wow. That's something I didn't realize. Wow.
Does it make sense?
No, it makes 100% sense to me, because insofar as I've researched, it was, again, you do all this empirical research. You don't actually know what you're finding. You're looking for the consistencies. It did seem like he was a part of the project, but was not directly involved the way that I was reading it. It seemed like he had been working on some side projects. And as you're talking to me about what he actually did there, it's starting to click in my head a little bit that, yeah, he was probably working on some technology that they eventually incorporated into that. And it may not have actually been his intention to do that. I think the other person who was working with the project had a closer tie to it than Tesla did. But again, this was just my research, so this is just hitting home right on the head. That being said, did you have any influence in the creation of the radio sonde, and as envisioned by Wilhelm Reich? And the radio sonde was the for those who don't know, it's basically a box that deals with orgone energy, which can create or destroy weather patterns, and they were able to do that.
He says yes. He's answering yes.
Oh.
Not direct involvement. So he's showing some. He's showing a community, that there was a community of people that did some of the similar things. some of the same types of testing, I guess is the best way to say it. Like the other guy that we were just talking about, there is not a direct connection. So would it make sense that somebody had taken some of his work or used some of his work with this? Because what he's saying is like him working on it, and there was some sort of a connection, but his work, he's showing me papers being passed over and a book being closed, like, thank you very much, and I take this and I go and do this over here, and he's left over here like doing this with his hands.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense too. My God, it's just fallen into place as far as I can see here.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a more personal question, Nicola. Do you feel some of the conflicts with other researchers in life either gave you a different perspective or propelled you forward in any creative way, or were they more detrimental to what you were doing?
Great question.
Thank you.
He says, my dear boy, he says that created both for me. He says it was some of my downfall at times, and yet it was some of the pep in my step, we would say, that would push me into a further adventure, because not many could go on the adventures of my imagination that I could. But he says that there was a breakdown for him. There was times of breakdown that this would occur. So on a human level, he said he did have some challenge with that.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. And of course, we look at those relationships today, and, nobody could answer that better than the man himself.
Yeah.
So my last question for you, Nicola, tonight is, if you could relive your life again as Nikola Tesla, what would you do differently, or would you do nothing differently? And I think I might already have the answer, considering how he answered one of the first questions there, but I'll just let it sit as it goes.
He says, he keeps calling you my dear boy. Oh, my dear boy. He says, looking at this from the perspective that I stand right now, I would do nothing differently, as I have set things perfectly for what my spiritual mission was. He says, now, if I were to look at this from a human perspective and doing this life over again, I might have spent a little bit more time on my emotions.
Oh, my what?
Emotions, I think you said? Yes.
Oh.
That's amazing. That's incredible.
You know what I think? This has been a beautiful thing for Nicola to share his voice. Right, Nicola?
He says, yes, I thank you.
It's awesome.
Well, I thank you. This is absolutely incredible to hear from you. The answers to these questions that a lot of people have been seeking to no fruition for various reasons. So thank you very much for being with us here tonight, Nicola. I'm going to move on a little bit to the Montauk stuff, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Yes?
Nicola just wants to say to you that he says, my dear boy, and I am with you on your journey.
Oh.
Thank you.
And also, I want to say thank you, Nicola, for helping me with Erik and my endeavor to help people and to raise the vibration of the earth. Project Victory Earth, one person at a time. So thank you so much.
Yes, of course, madam.
Oh. He's a very charming man, isn't he? Very charming one.
He keeps looking at me. He keeps looking at me like, I'm like, you're quite a handsome man.
Oh, how funny. All right. With that being said, I'm going to move on to the Montauk stuff now. Just before we get into this, for whatever reason, this is something that has fascinated me beyond an intellectual curiosity. And I don't know why, but let's see what we can get through tonight in terms of what we got here. So I mentioned 3 players, and then I'll just throw those names out again. You can do what you can with them. Preston Nichols, Al Balick, and Duncan Cameron were the three big names that really brought this Montauk project to light. If you're ready for me to ask the question, just let me know. Just want to make sure we're all together here.
They've got them. They're all in here. They said that they're there. I've got all three of them.
Oh, yeah, you do. Whew.
You can feel it, can't you?
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just all walked right in, right on cue.
Yep.
Erik says they've been well informed. They knew they were on stage tonight. So they're happy to be here. They liked talking about this too. And they still do like talking about it.
Oh.
Well, I'm beyond grateful for your presence tonight, gentlemen. Man, I wish I had the chance to know you in life, but this'll do just fine. I'll start with my first question for you here. Now that you are on the other side, can you freely explain the nature of sexual energy and why it's so important in the third dimensional reality that we live in, knowing that that is a very big part of the Montauk project and what they used and manipulated sexual energy for?
They're saying, and I'll speak this in a collective way that they're speaking, because I'm not too sure individually which one is speaking. They're saying that when it comes to sexual energy, there is, it's like, they said to think in terms of a climax and the intensity of it. It creates a high and quick shuttle, just like fear does, which fear was also used in this as well. And they're saying that this would create a very strong and high-pitched vibration, which could be transmuted and used.
Oh.
Wow. Holy shit. Pardon my language. Yeah, that's and so what they were doing with these boys is they were at that moment of climax, they were extracting their essence through the crown to reprogram it after they dissected it, put it together, put it back into the body.
Yes.
I don't know if they did it the same way, but initially, right?
God.
Yes.
Jesus Christ. Okay. All right, I'll move on.
I'm going to say that for this, Michael.
No, it's this is why I'm doing this. That's okay. This is perfect. But I could just feel them so strongly. All three of them. No, everybody is still here. Everybody's still here.
Erik, why is he so connected to this?
He's connected to each one of them, life through lifetimes. We all are actually. So yeah.
I didn't know them in this lifetime, though, did I?
Not in this lifetime, but what they're saying is, do you dream, Michael? Do you have like astral travels or dreams? Because they're saying that you have connected to dimensions that are connected to this project.
Oh shit!
And
yeah.
That you have picked up information and brought it into the third dimension with your consciousness.
Could that be the reason I feel so close to that project without possibly even being there physically?
That's exactly right.
Oh, yeah. Jesus. Okay. Wow. Oh, I wonder. Okay. Wow. All right. Thank you. That's amazing. Wow. Okay. So exploring, again, I know we're on a time limit here. That's why I'm kind of moving forward. Otherwise, I just stick with it here. Exploring the use of external frequencies to manipulate the mind was well established during the Montauk Project. What are some of the positive uses for this type of information? And could these frequencies be used for any type of divination?
Well, actually, they're bringing forward the idea of healing. They're talking about focus, about mind control, focus, and they're talking about channeling and bringing through information, bringing through higher dimensional frequencies, being able to separate. They're saying, okay, see if I can download this properly here. Being able to separate the ego part of the mind and it's like flipping a switch to be able to go into different states of the mind to bring forward information. They're also connecting this to forms of healing as well.
Mm-hmm.
They keep showing me a light switch, like something being triggered in the mind, and like a light switch going off and being able to switch the brain.
Okay, that makes sense. And as you're telling me this, I'm seeing it in my head as you're talking about it. I can see how that would work. It's just a matter of sitting down with it now, with that vision, and seeing how I could make it practical in a sense.
Yeah.
Before we go forward, I have to ask the question because it's going to bother the hell out of me if I don't. Why is my understanding or knowledge of the Montauk Project as a result of, this interdimensional travel a byproduct of the interdimensional travel, or is there a specific reason I know about what they did there?
Wait, say that again?
Is my knowledge about the Montauk Project, has that come about from just inadvertently astral projecting and visiting different dimensions, or did I have some sort of mission that I needed to understand that project? Was there something more intentional there?
Oh.
So this would be the second answer, the mission.
Oh.
Erik is just saying to you that you are an information. What would you call him then? He says a transmitter of interdimensional information.
Ooh.
That
Wow.
you are able to go in between dimensions, that you are able to travel through frequency and bring information through different states of consciousness. And he says that this is something that is part of your chart, part of your life contract. And this is also something that you are going to notice on a much bigger level going forward, because now that you have this information, Erik says,
oh my God. This is huge.
This is blowing my mind.
You need to get a session with Michelle. You need to find out a lot more about yourself.
I will.
and you need to get rid of the traumas, do the portal work, and you're gonna. Okay.
Well, this is a swift kick in the ass for me, and it's much neaded for whatever reason. But this is it right here.
God.
Thank you. Holy shit. Okay. Wow. What's the link between music and mind control? Because I know Preston did work in the studios and stuff at the time, and he was very aware of the connection. Is there any way that could be elaborated on a bit?
Mm-hmm. So, now I'm not sure which is who, but this one that's speaking has a Hawaiian shirt on. I'll just tell you, he's got a really loud Hawaiian shirt on.
Yep.
Well,
okay.
What does that mean to you, Michael?
That's Preston Nichols, 100%.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. So, he says, so when we, and he's actually acting upon what Tesla said and Erik about frequency and numbers. And he said that music carries frequencies, sound is frequency.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And so we carry chords. So when we think about binaural beats, when we think about hertz, they all carry a frequency. He says, is it one that makes you slow down? He says, think about music. Is the music going to make you relax? Does it make you want to jump up and dance? Does it make you want to bang your head? And that's how he's saying it. He says, what does the music want you to do? What do you feel when that music comes on? He says, well, when music gets played repetitively over and over, he says it creates a pathway, a neural pathway. And so when you relate that music, he says, relating that music to a circumstance. So let's say we're playing that music, and he's actually showing me a visual from Clockwork Orange. And he's showing their eyes being opened up and music playing and watching violence. And he says, so when we play that music, I see this happening, our minds go into that state. And he says, so it's a very powerful form of mind control, one that's been present within our society for decades.
Still to this day?
Yes.
Is it
On
very
different
common
levels,
with
yes.
is it common with the government?
I'd have
Oh,
some
no,
connections with
don't answer
government.
that. No, 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 don't, no.
Mm.
Wow. I mean, as a musician, I always wondered, why you get latched onto one song and you kind of listen to it on repeat because you love the song. Maybe it's the hook there, the chorus, or maybe there's something else in there, but you're actually opening up different energetic pathways. I'm almost speechless with that one. That's amazing.
Well, and he's just saying, think about how music comes on, it brings you back to a memory. You have a
Yes.
wedding song, you have a song with somebody you love, somebody you
Yeah,
lost. And
yeah,
it brings
that's
you back to
true.
that memory. It's very
Yeah.
powerful. So it can be used for good and it can be used for evil.
Are you actually doing a bit of time traveling on some level when you listen to music and it brings you back this way? Is there an aspect of that somewhere?
Indeed,
Yeah.
he says yes.
Huh. Wow. Oh God. Okay. This is awesome. Are there projects related to Montauk projects still operating today, like sister projects? I know that there were some in the 90s, but is there anything operating under that umbrella today?
He says yes.
Great question. Yeah.
Of course.
Yes. Jesus. Okay. It's just blowing me away.
We're gonna have to do a part 2, man.
Yes. 100%. This is my God, I have no words for this. It's a good thing I wrote the questions down. What happened to the people who were lost in the time tunnels during the time travel experimentation at Montauk?
Oh,
Now, I don't know how many people we're talking here, but they're showing me a handful.
give a percent, maybe. Is that easier?
Well, this is how they're answering. I'll just say how they're answering it, which is they're showing me that some are interdimension. Some now this may be hard for some to understand, but they're showing me like another version of Earth.
Okay.
Like another time on Earth.
Yep.
They said that we have also experienced some of these as time travelers that come from other versions on Earth, relating this to like the Bermuda Triangle, to going through something and ending up into another location. There's also some that did not fare well. They're talking about spontaneous combustion. And so their bodies not being able to handle the vibration, not being able to handle the difference in vibration from one dimension to another. They're saying that this is not just like it opens and you walk through. The physical body to do interdimensional travel needs to be prepared. It needs to be prepped. So it's by chance that some are able to slip through and be able to experience on the other side of that. That's why the process of raising the frequency of a body, of a human being, is something that is a process. So
let me tell you one thing that also Erik said about spontaneous combustion. He talks about what happens at death, that at the point of death, the soul, the energy of the soul, in the in the hollow part of the microtubules, which are these little hollow tubules that are responsible for the integrity of the cell, but are also part of cell division. The energy of the tubule and the soul start to vibrate and vibrate and vibrate, and then they get to a point where they spuck and disconnect. But sometimes they just keep vibrating and vibrating, and they can't disconnect, and they explode, and that is spontaneous human combustion. And it's very common in people who cannot let go, like very common in hoarders. So if you look at people who have died of human spontaneous combustion, you will see it in hoarders.
That's true. That is very
guys, I have an emergency portal person who is being attacked by demons. I have to go. Is that okay?
Okay. Absolutely. No, not at all.
Can we do this again?
Yes. Anytime. I have plenty more questions we can go over, but yes, whenever you'd like to, I'd be more than happy to do this.
Michelle, don't you love this guy?
I do. He's awesome.
He's
awesome.
amazing.
And Erik is like, oh, we have not seen the last of this dude.
No, we need a regular
not
thing
at all.
And
yes.
I want you to have a session with her.
Okay.
Really,
I'll set that up with her.
We need to open you up, and I want you to get portal work. You are a guy who's going to blossom, so you can raise the vibration of this world. I know you've got an important thing to do.
You contact me, and I will hook you up for a session. Okay.
Yep. We'll talk about
for a session. Yes.
Oh, I really appreciate you. I know you have to go, Elisa, so here's what I'll do. Michelle, stick around for a minute. I'll say my proper goodbyes off camera. If you have to run, I understand that too. Otherwise, I'll do just that. Elisa, I will be in touch with you in the next couple of days. We'll set something up that works for everybody. And man, I will be looking forward to this one coming more than I even look forward to tonight. So thank you very much, both of you ladies, for being on here. Michelle, fantastic work tonight. In my opinion, a very clear channel. I got a lot out of the discussion. Erik, thank you so much, my man. I know you're up there coordinating. I want to let you know that top hat might have been for me because I was a magician for many years and I wore a top hat. And I actually have it in the closet. So I'll take that as a nod, from Erik. But God, I'm still feeling them all here. Preston Nichols, Al Balick, Duncan Cameron, thank you very much for joining and expressing what you had to say about the Montauk Project from beyond the grave and from the other side. It's amazing to have this. Thank you so much. I'm going to wrap up the show here. I'll take you both off. Before we do that, I want to let you guys know, again, the bios are in the description. There are links to Michelle's page, and you can go there and find out anything you want to know about her services and what she does and where she's come from. And please read her story because it is absolutely fantastic. A story of such strength, not unlike our friend Elisa Medhus here, who also has a similar story of strength. Please check them out. Check out her books as well. Her YouTube channel, Channeling Erik, is also in the description. Check that out for more of these interviews that she's done. Thank you very much, ladies. I appreciate you both.
Thank you. And we appreciate you.
Erik says, love you guys. Yes, we do. He says, love you, Mama. I love you so much.
Love you.
Mwah.
Let's get to work, baby. Bye.
Thank you. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Bye now. Okay, so again, I'm going to move you off and I'll talk to you in a minute there, Michelle. Thank you, Elisa. I'll talk to you soon.
Oh.
All right. Wow. Fantastic. I don't have a word or any words after this broadcast. I'm going to be honest with you. I have a lot to think about and sit down with. I'm going to be watching this one over again. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you guys for being a part of this. This was very personal to me, and it was very gracious of Elisa to ask, if I would be a part of this session. And I'm eternally grateful to everybody who was with us tonight on this side and that side. It's just amazing to be able to have that bridge and have that connection. I know that we've done it, but when it comes to contacting, more well-known figures in the world and historical figures and pop culture figures and so forth, it takes the right person to bring that information and present it the right way. And I feel that Elisa has done that and is continuing to do that. And I feel that in knowing Michelle tonight, she's a great representative of the spirit world and the channeling that can be done. So, folks, thank you very much for joining us tonight. We will have a part 2. Next week, I have a great individual. He's going to be talking about vampires and witches in New England and the history of it. I was reading some of his work. He has 13 books out. Fantastic stuff, really comprehensive. So look forward to that. In the meantime, we may have something before it, and I'll let you know. Keep your eyes out, watch the promos, and you will find out when the next guest is, if it's before next Friday. All right, guys, thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Big shout out to Big Cat and wreaking havoc for doing a fantastic job moderating. Thank you for all the people I see in the chat. I'm sorry I didn't get to some of your questions. It was pretty intense this evening, and in a good way, but I'll try to put some of those together, and the next time around, I'll bring those up with respect to what we're doing. All right, guys, thank you very much. I'm going to let y'all out now, and have a wonderful, fantastic rest of your evening. And again, Grimwitch did an awesome job working on these intros and outros. If I could just figure out what in God's name I'm doing, we'll be better off, I think. Yeah, I think so. All right, here we go. God, I love what I do. Don't let anyone tell you differently. All right. Very good. All right. Once again, folks, thank you very much for joining us here on Dark Hour Paranormal. I will see you soon.